Hello and welcome back to my channel, SolipsismSims. Today we are going to be renovating Daisy Hovel in Willow Creek. I've got my coffee here and you should get yours because this is a long video. Anyways, here's a sneak peek of what we end up with. I think it's quite a bit better, at least in my opinion. It matches the vibe of this neighborhood. I picture this neighborhood a little bit more of like vintage rundown homes versus these kind of like mobile home looking things. Anyways, let's get into the build. It really wasn't that bad inside, except this kitchen area here. I don't know why you would put those walls there. It just cuts everything apart weird. But here I am just kind of deleting everything. I tried to keep the vibe of the house the same, but the shape of it is completely different. So I don't know. Maybe it looks like a different house. I mean, it does look like a different house, but maybe too much like a different house. Why did they use so many objects on those bushes out front? Those bushes I just deleted were all objects, and I know they're working with object limits, so why on earth would whoever built this put so many of those? Why didn't they use debug? Anyways, somebody probably knows the answer. I'm sure there is one. Anyways, here I am just trying to figure out how I'm going to make this look better. I end up flipping it around and then I flip it back because I don't like the way it looks. But I add a large section to the back of it that ends up being just the majority of the house. there I am. But yeah, like I said, the house shape just changes substantially. This front part that was the original house just keeps getting smaller and smaller until I think it's just like one tile wide. I just turned it into a little entryway area, so I don't know, the original house is not even hardly there, but I did keep like some vibes of it, you know, the columns, the porch, the colors and windows. I think I used the shutter windows, but it kept the same color. I just didn't use those little ones that are up front there. But here I am, like I said, making it a lot smaller. I just thought it was kind of weird and jutted out, and I was just trying to go with a different shape. I didn't realize until I got to, what was it, the terrain paint, that I was building in the dark. I'm so sorry, I built this whole thing. What am I in? Evening mode? I can't even see it. Is it evening mode? Yeah, when I got to the terrain paint, I was like, well, I should make it bright outside, and then I was like, oh, darn it. Why did I do that all the time. I get so excited about building something that I just get into it, and I won't notice forever that I haven't even switched the lights. I honestly do that in my real life too. I'll get to cleaning a room somewhere and I'll have forgotten to turn on the lights. That's weird, isn't it? Anyways, but here I am just trying to figure out the layout of the inside of the house. It took me a little while because I cut it in half almost like this at first, but then I was like, well, the living room and the kitchen are going to be pretty pathetic, and this bedroom is huge. I was like, I don't know what to do with this little space up here. I didn't want to put the bathroom like with windows to the front porch, so here I am fidgeting with it. I think what I ended up with was actually a pretty good use of the space, and it looks pretty cool. I like how this house turned out. I'm excited to play in it. I think it's a really nice update from the original house. I can't wait to do the other two on this block. I like the layout, the way the layout of the bathroom turned out. This is pretty much what I end up with. It changes a little bit from here, but I put the bathroom in this little area over here, or the toilet, I guess I should say, in this little area over here, and then the shower and sink in that other area. I like doing that because then you have a master suite and like a guest bath. I don't really like it when people walk through your bedroom to get to your bathroom. And I don't like putting it in my game either because I've had apartments and houses like that, and it just, ugh, it's the worst when you have guests over and there's only one bathroom and they have to walk through your bedroom to get to your bathroom. It just feels so intrusive. Maybe that's just me. But here I am just kind of figuring out, oh, there, I switched it to the short wall height. Why do they always automatically make everything like the middle wall height? It's way too tall for all the objects. It makes all the objects look just dwarfed. Like, maybe make some more objects for like medium and tall wall heights. That would be excellent, because I do enjoy using them, but I just don't like how limited the options are. Like, I think you have like two archways or something. It's just, you don't have very many options, and then it ends up not matching, and as you just go with the short walls anyway. But here I am trying to figure out how I want to do the back porch, and then I just end up copying the front porch. So call me a cheater. It was more to keep the original vibe of the house, since I got rid of the entire shape. But I think the shape was pretty ugly. I spent so long fiddling with these roof parts. I probably spend too long, like, I'll always, like, do I want that as an overhang, or do I want that as an actual roof? You know what I mean? I'll stretch out the roof, and then I'll put it back, and then I'll stretch out, like, just the overhang part of the roof, and I'll try to figure out which way I like it. And really, that's a detail that probably nobody notices. So I don't know why I spend so much time on it. I guess I just enjoy it. Another thing I spend too much time on, all of these little windows up here. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how much footage I cut out of me just like deleting a window or putting it back. Because I couldn't quite, I wanted to keep the windows limited, which is not my typical building style. I like to build with a lot of windows because I like to live with a lot of windows. But I wanted to keep them limited in this house, because if it's an older house, it usually has less windows. So it's still probably too many windows for like an actual antique home, but I really enjoy it. So, and when I say antique, I mean like, I don't know, 80s. I don't know. Don't test me on that. I'm not good at like decade fads. I was never very good at that part of history. I just know if I like the way something looks or if it matches the vibe of it. So don't worry, I'm not going to leave all those glass doors there. I just like throwing the door down to figure out what the layout is going to be. And then I replace the door later. I find it's a lot easier to figure out which door I want if I've already decorated the room. Because I usually end up replacing the door anyway if I've decorated the room. And then the door just like does not match. It didn't end up looking the way that I thought it was gonna look, you know. I actually used those cheap counters in this build. I didn't think it looked too bad because I could go with the, what is that, the black and blue color swatch is not bad on that. And so I liked the way that looked. Here I am just adding some bump outs to the sides. I end up rearranging the kitchen and the dining room because I realized that the living room, like the kitchen and the living room being back to back, is too tight. So I flip them around, and I think it's a better flow for this space. There I am deciding that I need to flip those around, and so I'll skip to when I've already done it. But see, that's just, I think having the dining table up at the front just makes a little bit more sense as well. But another thing I mess with way too long in this house is that little bar area. I couldn't quite figure out what was the most, I don't know, logical place, like where I should place that. Sometimes with open concept kitchens, I have a hard time like defining the kitchen. I think a lot of the problem here was that I feel like the floor didn't quite land where I wanted it to land, and so I had to rearrange it a little bit because of that. I think I end up rearranging it again later because I make the whole house smaller. I hope my building style doesn't like jar you guys. I know I jump around quite a bit, but I like to, you know, do it as I get ideas. Does every simmer do that, or are they just better at editing? Well, I know they're better at editing than me because they've been doing it for longer. But do they just edit the pieces together where they jump around? But then there's gonna be consistency flow problems, right? Anyways, what am I talking about? Here I am, just deciding on what windows I wanted to put on the bump outs. I ended up using those shorter bay windows because it matched in the kitchen and the color swatch matched really well. And so on the other side, I ended up putting the bed under that bay window. I thought it looked really nice there. And it ended up cutting apart the room in a really nice spot. Here I am trying to figure out how I'm going to roof these bump outs. I end up putting one of these on there and then kind of mimicking, I think later on I come back and I put one of those pitched roofs on there, and to kind of mimic the combined, gabled and pitched roof of the. Am I using those terms correctly? Gosh, now I'm gonna make myself look silly here if I don't use this. I combine the two roof types to make the same looking roof. Let's just keep the technical terms out of it there so I don't look silly. Man, I should really plan what I'm gonna say before I start recording this, because now I'm like what, 11 minutes in, and so I don't want to stop, but I've said something foolish. Anyways, here I am adding more windows, and like I said, I delete these like 200 times. I found the ones that have the shutters closed. I thought that was so cool. I don't know if they're exactly the same. I think they're meant to be the same, but they look a little bit longer. Oh, like I said earlier, here I am just like making the whole house smaller. It was at this point that I was like, this is huge. I need to shrink this, and it's never too late to make the house smaller, except maybe when you've already done like terrain paint. I mean, I guess it's never too late. It's just gonna be a pain. But I make it smaller, and that helps quite a bit. I know that this video is still way too long. Forgive me. I just got a new editing software, and so I kept editing, and I got it down to this length, and I was like, you know what? It needs to be shorter, but I just need to stop. I just need to move on to a different build because I had spent a lot of time on this, and now that I'm aware of what the editing is like in that new software program, I think I'll have a little bit better of an idea how I need to, record me building it. Because, like, I had to cut out so much of me just, like, spinning the screen. Oh my gosh. You guys would get vertigo. I spun the screen so much. I don't know why I do that. I guess everybody does that, to see things from a different angle. But sometimes I swear I'm just sitting there spinning the screen thinking, and it's very, like I said, it's very jarring. So now I'll try not to do that as much, since I was not aware that I was doing that just the whole time. It made editing it a little bit difficult. Here I am deciding to go with a nicer table since I have the space. I feel like this one fits the color concept quite a bit better. And then I'm adding a bookshelf and a little stereo, computer, just the playable objects here. I love this little, I think it's categorized as a living room table from Tiny Living, but you can put, like, the stereo will slot onto there, and it won't slot onto the end tables. So I like using that little living room table, just because things will slot onto there where they won't on the end tables. Oh, like I said, here I am finding those shutter windows, and I cut out a lot of me just like fidgeting with those windows and trying to figure out where I wanted to place them. I ended up putting them in the bathroom in the back of the house, and then in the bedroom in the front of the house. and so which I think makes sense. But here I am, just again making everything smaller. I tend to make everything too big. I think a lot of people do that though. I apologize if you can hear me drinking my coffee. I've started getting, if you have an Aldi near you, I would highly recommend the caramel sauce from Aldi. I think it's in like the dessert section, like the baking section of the desserts. Anyways, it's like $1.99 for a whole jar of caramel, and it's good caramel. You know, it's not that like Smucker's corn syrup. And so I've been getting that and making my own little caramel lattes. Because I like the Starbucks caramel lattes, but my budget does not. So I've been trying to do copycats, and that caramel that I found at Aldi is just the cheapest, best caramel that I have ever had in my life, because it's thick, you know, real caramel. But it's only $1.99. And it really just makes your coffee wonderful. Anyways, I got sidetracked. But here I am just kind of setting down furniture. I really love the way that the layout of this house turned out. I think it took me probably far too long, honestly. Hopefully I get a little bit faster. But I just love the way, I'm glad I did spend so much time fiddling with it, because I really like the way the layout turned out on it. I think it's a nice use of the space, and it's just got interesting little, I don't know, interesting little features of the build. I changed the living room to carpet there. I ended up changing that back because it looked weird. Like I said, I have a hard time like designating the spaces when it's open concept like this. But I think we did pretty well in this one. Some of these decorative elements I do end up deleting later, just because I was trying to make this house a starter house. I don't think it ended up being technically a starter. It depends on your definition of a starter, because it's 18 something, which means that like if you're putting it on a $2,000 lot, it's not. You're gonna need, you're gonna need a little bit more than 20 grand, which is what your sim starts with. So, I mean, maybe not technically classified as a starter, but you're only going to need a couple grand over what, a starter home would be. So it's really not very far off. Maybe, wait a few days and, I don't know, breed some frogs or something. And then your sim can upgrade their starter home to this starter home. Or just use a cheat. I don't know. I don't know how you like to play your game. I end up changing that bed back later. I think I just did it for cost, but I think the other one does look better. I like the way the decor in this home turned out. I don't know. It turned out very like blue and tan. But I liked the color combinations. And I didn't notice until the very end that I just left the inside flooring the same as the outside flooring. I don't know how realistic that is. I suppose in a like cheaper house it would be pretty realistic. But I thought it looked nice. So I didn't want to add just another texture to it, when it wasn't necessary. But here I am adding the tiles. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to have a pink and a blue, but I feel like it's such an old home thing to have like that super pink or super blue bathroom tile. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to, reference that a little bit, I guess. And I wanted to add just a little bit of clutter. Like I said, I tried to keep the price down, so that does inhibit some of the clutter. But I think I added a good amount. I don't know. I don't like when there's no clutter. I like to make the houses feel just a little bit lived in. I feel like it makes it look a little bit more realistic. I hadn't used that separator object before from, what is that, Snowy Escape? That's lovely. I'm going to use that a lot more now. I deleted those two columns in the front just to save on budget. Here I am trying to figure out what color I want to make as like the accent color on the outside, because I didn't want to do just the just that kind of yellow wood. But I had trouble with this front entryway bump out because I felt like with the dark color on there, it was just so imposing that it looked bad. And later on, I end up making that entryway smaller and putting that brick on there, and it looks quite a bit better. Here I am adding that debug tree that's all over this world. Why on earth is it so large? Why is it so big? I don't feel like they use it that big anywhere on here, but it's just giant. Also, is there any way to get rid of that shadow under the debug objects? That drives me crazy without like getting one of those like recoloring things or whatever. I just hate when I size something down and then there's that giant shadow. Hideous. See, look right there. Like, why? I just spun the house around for no reason. Like a carousel. This is one of my favorite things to do here. Grab like little pillars out of the debug and make my own little mailbox. I wish they had more mailbox options. I feel like the mailbox options are pretty limited, but it's not a very important object. I mean, I guess if I had to choose an object that you would give us more options on, it wouldn't be the mailbox, for sure. I don't know what it would even be. What would I want more options on? I don't know. Oh, top cabinets. Top cabinets. We have such a select few, and like a lot of times they don't match the bottom cabinets, and so a lot of times I just don't even use them. But I like the way they look, so I wish I could use them more. Here I am just adding that same brick pattern that I used on the outside and the inside for a few accent walls. I like to do that. I tried to use a lot of debug objects to save on budget. Generally, though, I do use a lot of debug objects in my builds. Like I said, I like a cluttered build, and then I usually like the builds that have like the overgrown landscaping. I much prefer the overgrown landscaping to something very clean cut. Here I am adding clutter on the inside. This little book I decided to alt place so that it wouldn't take the one slot on the desk left. But I do end up putting some more clutter up there on those other slots on the back of it. Like I said, just adding some clutter, some potted plants outside. I end up rearranging that back patio later on to save on columns and to just make it look, make it match the front a little bit more. It seemed a little grand to have the stairs there in the middle on the back and then have them on the side on the front. I don't know, it just struck me as a little bit odd. So later on I end up changing that around. That little gardening sign is probably my favorite debug object. It's so cute. I wish we had that little gardening sign with like more plants on it, you know? like one with a tomato and one with a onion. It's silly, but I love that little gardening sign. Here I am adding relevant lot features in the middle of the build because that's how I do it. I love adding relevant lot features. I think it makes it more fun. What did I add on here? I think I put study spot. You can see it. I put homey and something else, and then I put filthy on there. I like the update where they put the lot challenges as a different section, so you can have, you know, the features and the challenges, and they don't take up space. I thought that was a good idea. I don't know when that update came out, but I enjoy it. Here I am just picking out some clutter to clutter up my little bay window here. I love doing that. I think a cluttered bay window in the kitchen just looks so realistic and pretty adorable. Here I am just adding that roof piece, like I was talking about, to these side bump outs just to make it match a little bit better. And I put that clothesline debug object back there. I love that object. I use that object a lot. What is that from? Sulani? I forget what pack that's from. Here I decided to make the columns white just to, you know, bring out the white in the windows and the doors and to make them stand out a little bit. I added that fishing pond in the back too. That's from Debug as well. I love adding that. If I have a lot of yard space, I love adding that to my little homes. It's just so much fun to play with because it's got the animations on there, so you really feel like you've got a cute little pond. Just by placing one object, and then your sim can go back there and fish and stuff too, so it's usable. I love putting that little broken down dock just hanging off the side of the little pond. I think it looks, I don't know, it looks so cute. These pink flamingos, I think I probably use in every build. At least one. I use one flamingo in every build. And then here's me just putting down a lot of this grass. I put a little lavender. I put a lavender garden over here by the trash can. And then I love to just add grass everywhere, under everything. Like I said, I really enjoy the overgrown look in The Sims. I think it adds to the realism, and it just is super fun to look at as your sim is walking around, in my opinion, to look at all the details and whatnot. I feel like I always have like a little gardening area. But I like gardening in The Sims. I haven't gotten the cottage living pack, like I haven't pre-ordered it or anything, and I'm really excited about it. So I don't know, we'll see. I may get it. I got a new computer for my birthday from my husband, so it's like I had saved up some money from work, and so I only needed, I had only saved up enough for half of it, so the other half of the computer was my birthday present. So I'm probably not going to get the Sims pack just because I did already get a computer for my birthday. Who knows? Our anniversary is coming up though, but I may need to ask for something a little bit more reasonable than more Sims stuff. That little lavender bush area, I really enjoyed lifting up the grass. I hadn't done that before, where I, you know, Alt 9 or whatever, lifted up the dark grass so that it would kind of peek through the lavender at the top. I thought that came out really nice. Here I am starting the terrain paint. I love terrain paint, not because I'm particularly good at it. I don't think I'm that good at it at all, but I just think it makes such a big difference on the build, like in making it look real versus not. So I really enjoy putting it down just because it's so satisfying to, I don't know, it makes it look so much better in my opinion. It's like when you're doing makeup and you're not sure about your eyeshadow look until you add your mascara and you're like, oh yeah, that looks good. I don't know, that might be kind of a niche reference. Do you guys like makeup? But normally the way I do the terrain paint is I will put just like a bunch of brown down under all the spots that I want brown under, and then I'll come through with the eraser tool and I'll blend out all the edges. That seems like an easier way to do it in my opinion. But there's the house. I think I go to the back and do the terrain paint around the pond, and then I add some like worn grass pathways and stuff around. Little detail things. And then here I am turning the lights off so that I can add just a porch light to it. And then, like I said, the worn grass pathways. But that's the house. Thank you so much for watching. I think this renovation came out really cute. Please go to my gallery and download this house to upgrade your Daisy Hovel in Willow Creek. My gallery ID is going to be the same as my YouTube handle, so SolipsismSims. And we're about to just do some before and after photos. Like I said, thank you so much for watching. I hope that the editing was a little bit better this time. We'll get even better next time. But I want to say I appreciate you guys being here. I've been having so much fun making these videos, so hopefully I get a little bit better at them. But if not, at least I'm having a good time, right? But I hope you guys have had a good time watching this video too, and I hope that you go to my gallery and download this home and that you have a good time playing in it. Anyways, we'll see you next time. Bye.